Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Hot Seat Spotlight for the Fall 2025 Builder Innovator Summit. Today, I'm happy to welcome Carroll Van Hook Weaver, Director of Leasing and Marketing at AARA Partners. Carol doesn't just talk about innovation, she actually lives it, working both behind the scenes and on the front lines to shape how communities feel, function, and thrive. Leading everything from multi-million-dollar leasing strategies to the creation of renter-first brands like Connect in Nashville and Phoenix. Carol, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm a huge fan of the Builder Innovator Summit. So I always love speaking with you guys and so excited that you had me as part of your hot seat interview.
Yes, absolutely. We always love to have you. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to know what originally pulled you into the housing industry and what's kept you inspired to stay and keep evolving with it.
Wow, I love this question and I get it often and I feel like many of us that ended up in the housing industry didn't always set out of our life plan to be in property management, and I am one of those people as well, and I went to school for hospitality management and tourism. I always saw myself with a suit and a clipboard and a walkie-talkie running resorts. So that's where I saw myself, and even from an young age, seeing the housekeepers, seeing the front office staff, seeing people running around the resorts, doing the creative experiences. I was just always like, how does this happen behind the scenes?
Mhm.
So that really kind of led me into the customer service field from a young age. I got into food and beverage when I was actually 15 years old at this kind of 50s diner called Rockabilly. And I get to like run around in poodle skirts and sing and dance. And it was kind of like a throwback diner, which led to some internships in college down in Hilton Head at a big resort. Well, long story short, after graduation, I ended up in hotels and ended up getting recruited to a new housing development in Lexington, Kentucky, near UK, which is where I graduated from. And that got me into property management. And one thing I realized when I got in is that it's customer service. You just have guests for a longer amount of time, right? But you're a problem solver. You're having to provide solutions. You're trying to make a great experience. You still need to communicate between departments such as maintenance and accounting and sales. So really, a lot of the same departments correlated with hospitality and hotels. One thing for me that keeps me coming back is the challenge, and it is the organized chaos, of getting it done and then seeing the building come to life. Long story short, that's how I got into the industry.
That's amazing. It's crazy how everything's connected. I know you started in hospitality, but just the way that you kind of pointed out the connections throughout, I mean, I guess I didn't really realize that how much they were connected. So that's awesome. So, in your experience, I know you have worked with many different demographics, just because you've been in the industry so long. So I want to know what has changed the most about what today's renters expect, and then how is Akara working behind the scenes to kind of keep up with all of the changes with today's time?
Well, I think with today's renters, so especially honing in on Gen Z and upcoming Gen Alpha, that we're already starting to investigate and learn about this Gen Alpha demographic. But, with the Gen Zs and people going into the workforce, becoming our long term renters, what we're really finding, and we actually did a testimonial interview with 4 diverse Gen Zs that are about to go into the workforce and about to kind of get their first apartments and what they're really looking for.
Mm.
And we've found out that there's still a lot of tried and true things that renters still want and not only expect, but they're willing to pay a little bit more for it. And one thing we found out was, and this is not going to be a surprise to anybody, but washers and dryers inside your apartment. So
Yeah.
when I was going through our Gen Z interviews, really just seeing that each of these people still said a washer and dryer inside their apartment is so important. I was like, well, duh, we're already doing this. But they were willing to even pay a little bit more. So that is one thing that just recently has really stood out of making sure that we have really good working appliances inside our apartments. And what I love about Builder Innovator is that you guys team up with some really great appliance people. And I've even met and been on some panels with some appliance providers. And I think they hold a lot more power than we think because if you don't have really good working appliances, and this is going to impact their daily lives with making sure they have a clean outfit for their interview coming up for an important job, or going out that night or whatever. Having really good working appliances, including washers and dryers, has been a big feedback component of what these Gen Zs want. And for Connect, this has been our business model since the very beginning, that we wanted to have everything for one price under one roof. Because when you have to get your gym membership, go find your coffee shop, go to social events, you're paying all of those at separate costs, and it takes time to go to all those places. So we've brought everything under Connect with our social event programming, our on-site coffee shops, which is called Market. We found through our Gen Z interviews that I hope to share at the Builder Innovator Summit that they're willing to pay a little bit more because this generation is really frugal. They're really smart. It's the most expensive generation to be alive in, and they've been through a lot, and they're already doing their own research. And when it comes to pinching pennies, they know where everything is allocated. So
Mm.
if you are attracting Gen Zs, that's your demographic, or you have, young renters coming in, having that value added to your property is going to allow you to also ask for top line rents.
Yeah, even outside of being frugal, this generation, our generation, prioritizes convenience. So I feel like that, since you are putting that at the forefront of your properties, that's one of the most important things. Just making sure that everything is included. That's something we love. So we'll pay any price almost.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the panel that you will be presenting on at the Builder Innovator Summit. So, that panel specifically will be about attracting today's renters using marketing, specifically digital marketing. So, with that, what is one strategy or tool that you feel like is working really well right now? And then on the flip side, one strategy that's not really working or kind of losing traction from previous years?
So, one thing that's working really well is our videos. And one thing that's working really well for us is these tutorial videos in short form, vertical form content. And then along with that, we make a a body of content, and being able to use backlinks, hashtags, things like that is really helping with our algorithm. And one thing I love about Gen Z is that they love authenticity, and it doesn't have to be this perfectly edited, beautifully shot, video. They really like that authentic, quick information. Here's a tutorial. This is where you can learn more, and using those call to actions on your videos. And that's what's really been working. And one thing that we've tweaked and are not working is was not working so well, was probably just really paying too much attention to our competitors, because you don't want to be a copycat, but you also want to get inspired by your competitors. But I find that things don't work too well when the same people in the same market are doing the same thing. So for me, it's videos, and that's what's working so well.
Yeah. That's amazing. I mean, it is like a kinda a switch that you have to switch on and off in your head to kinda think that everything is content. Anything can be recorded. It doesn't have to be super long like you mentioned. Awesome. Well, Carol, thank you so much for joining us in the hot seat. I really appreciate you taking the time out to sit and chat with me.
I appreciate you so much. Thanks for always having me. And if there's anybody I can do, find me on LinkedIn, send me a DM. I'm an open book. So I'll see you guys in Dallas in October.
Yes, absolutely. And if you're watching this and you want to learn more about Carol, please be sure to check out her full expert profile on builderinnovator.com. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for more. Bye.